My name is Angel Parson, and I serve as the program director at the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor National Heritage Area. We know that that is a mouthful, but the corridor spans across 4 states from Wilmington, North Carolina, down to St. Augustine, Florida. We look at it as the Sea Islands, the coast, and about 30 miles inland, but we know that Gullah Geechee spans far, far beyond. And really, it's a part of the overall diaspora. We have so many members. I see somebody here from Mexico. I love Puerto Vallarta. And so we're so grateful to be seeing so many different connections all across the world. And so many of our culture keepers are making those connections. And so we are here tonight to help you and your family trace your roots and deepen your connections in your family. One major part of the work that we do with the corridor are our efforts in preservation and education. And tonight you're going to get a taste of both with these genealogy workshops. So with that being said, I would like to present to you Dr. Althea Sumpter. Dr. Sumpter is a researcher and scholar who focuses on ethnographic documentation and cultural preservation of the Southern story of the United States. With her native Gullah Geechee culture and her historical connection to the story of Reconstruction in Beaufort, South Carolina, she uses her expertise to teach how to research and document stories of family and community. She presents talks and workshops on how to find cultural heritage and to make the link to historical context in communities. She is also a daughter of St. Helena Island, which is in Beaufort County, South Carolina, and I'm so delighted to welcome her. She will be your teacher for the rest of summer, so welcome to summer school for Genealogy 101. So without further ado, Dr. Sumpter.
Yeah, this is so wonderful. I was asked to do this workshop because Angel and I met some years ago at a conference, whichever, the number of conferences and such. And then when Angel found out more about what I do, and not only that, but, for, I don't know, what is it, 12, 14, whatever years, I was on the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor Commission. You say that, I said it. I still know how to say that. And now one of the charter members, one of the founding members, who then was one of the people who helped to write the management plan. And it was quite an amazing adventure. And it really, I'm going to say adventure, to start from zero to then creating what is now. I mean, I am so thrilled that what has developed in the corridor. And I remember when there's no office, no staff, no nothing, no, just us in the terms of the commission, and we were our own staff, and we were our own everything. And thanks through the work of the national park system, and we were able to get the support to make the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor, NHA, what it is now, and continue to grow forward. But so much of my own work is based on me trying to then figure out, who am I? And because I'm from St. Helena Island, and moving out or going, I'm a desegregation kid. first 3 buses going across the bridge from the island and into town, and I have got stories. And I'm sharing some of those stories in some of my writings and such. But the thing is that here, even with Blacks in town, okay, anybody in town in Beaufort, okay, I'm going to say some things. We were still the odd people across the bridge. So here I am listening to, one language in one ear and another language in another ear, and not knowing that Gullah is a language. And then all of a sudden, after, I'm going to say, experiencing not only segregation, Jim Crow laws, desegregation, but also culture shame. And now my culture is what everybody is trying to become a part of. How do I deal with being shamed to then people wanting to know me? So it took me through such a journey over, decades. First, trying to figure out, how do I fit into the world? But first, before me figuring out how do I fit in the world, I was searching other people. Who are they? I was into the cultural heritage, about figuring out who other people happen to be. I became a producer, and worked in the production industry and documentaries, and then I became, an academic. And from moving out to academia, I am now this person who has now got, brought all of my experience into what I do today. So I've pulled together my production experience, my research experience, my academic experience, my cultural experience, my knowing and understanding that I am Gullah Geechee. Tell me thou could say that 40 years ago. There is no way I would say such words. But for the first time, I'm feeling even more comfortable code switching. I mean, here I will be in public and I would actually code switch, going from, and we know the difference between what is called King's English, that New England English of a certain, age, into now saying I go from, I have a variety of tonalities that I can switch back and forth from the standard English, King's English, to Gullah Geechee, to now a combination of understanding more and more about who I am. But as I would talk about who I am to other people, they said, how do you do that? And not just through looking at and developing the Gullah Geechee corridor and that management plan and creating this is amazing experience. But I started focusing my own tools of trying to explore other people's culture. And I then, I came back home. And I started to see more about my culture, my understanding about me. And through looking at me, I started interviewing the elders, 80, 90-year-olds. I started looking at who my family happens to be, my own upbringing, starting to collect my own stories and writing my own stories and my own experience on the island. And I'm like, wait, what is this? I became curious enough to the point where I wanted to go back and understanding my family as far as possible. And I started to find other ways to overlay the experience, not just in terms of genealogy, but the history and the culture, because it's all combined. So, the thing that I want to have you understand is that genealogy is only putting names in place. This name to that name to the other name to who knows whatever name. But I am also an ethnographer, getting the oral history of people, documenting their lives and their stories. And I'm putting in the culture of people And within that, I also have to look at the history of people. And it's a combination of looking at history, culture, and then connecting the dots from person to person to person. So, you know, I'm more than just, I would say, a genealogist. I'm really not a genealogist. I'm a humanitarian, I'm a humanities scholar. And within doing the humanities scholar and also as a producer, I pulled all of my skills into documenting my culture and documenting not just Gullah Geechee culture, but my experience in the South. It is very singular thing to be Southern Black woman who's experienced not just Jim Crow laws, like I've mentioned already, but also understanding that I have the transition in me. And you know, sometimes, you know, I'm going to say, I'm a storyteller, and that's how I speak. And so within my storytelling, some people may say, oh, well, you know what, slow down. No, I'm Gullah Geechee, you know, we talk fast, you know, so don't worry about that, you know. So the thing is that I'm going to tell you a story about my life, and I'm going to tell you a story based on the materials that you have that I've compiled over my own experience. And with that, I'm going to uh, um, share the materials in that workbook, but understand that I'm going to gloss over, not necessarily just gloss over, but see, I do a lot more extensive workshops and such for people. So I pulled together the materials that you have, and so that you can have a starting point in trying to figure out how it is that you can find yourself. So I'm going to just go through real fast some of the materials, and just so you understand what it is that you have in hand. So, you know, you'll see that, you know, the cover item, the cover sheet here. And you know, the thing is that I can tell you stories about this logo, the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor logo, and all of that is means and understanding. And I have an appreciation for what has developed in terms of I am, and that's why I say I am, you know, International African American Museum, and then the Avery Research Center. It is so amazing knowing and understanding the background and the people who made everything happen, so that we have the materials that we are dealing with and can share. And so, oh, I want to say this house that you'll see in my logo, that's the house I grew up in. That is my family home. I can tell you every square inch about that. And a lot of times people just, you say, oh, well, you know, those old pictures, you know, we look poor and such. No, we weren't poor. We own our own land. We own our own land since 1860. Well, you know, Beaufort County was the blueprint for Reconstruction. It is where Beaufort County, South Carolina, where it was, see, not just Beaufort County, remember, Beaufort District is today's Beaufort County and Jasper County. All of that was Beaufort District until Jasper was cut into it in 1912. So I did a lot of work, and I still do a lot of work in recording and documenting the lives of elders in all of the original Beaufort District. That includes Jasper County. So if you go to my website, you'll see a lot of the work referencing Jasper County. And so it is about the Beaufort District, and it is about Reconstruction. It is about the beginning stories of when it started in 1862 and how the North was going to create something there, and did create something there, that in 1865, what was implemented in Beaufort District was then implemented throughout the entire South. So my story is about that experience, being Gullah Geechee, St. Helena Island, Black, female, Southern, and part of knowing that my family was part of the creation of the Reconstruction era, of what would become Reconstruction in the South. And so my story is about, now I know, finding my way home. I want to know what they did, the history of. They were part of an experience that it's not just about connecting the dots from person to person. All of these people were part of something and they did things. And that's why I came across creating a way to help other people find their heritage. And that's why I say finding yourself, because once I found myself and knowing my home and also my ethnic connection to the West Coast, and where in the West Coast, to that West Coast on the West Coast of Africa, knowing my cultural connection and my heritage and everything that I'm a part of, I have done more in finding myself. So I find my heritage and I find myself. And that's what I try to encourage others to do as well. So each of these sessions that I'll go through is going to then give you, for example, today, they're about a month apart, and each one will give you a time to do your homework. Look, I'm a former from production industry for about 15 years, and then I became an academic for about 25 years. You know, I am still, I'm still a professor. Okay, I'm a producer and a professor. So I will be talking in my professorial mode at times, but I'll back it up a little bit sometimes, and I'll just, you know, be a storyteller. But each one, for session one and then session two, you're going to have time to give, you know, to do some homework as I then go through and have you, I'm going to give you some materials. But the first thing we're going to look at in terms of, I'm going to come back through and discuss a lot of page 3 in more detail in a moment, and I'm going to come back through and discuss page 4 in more detail in a moment. But these are elements that will help you understand what it is that you can go through and explore more in depth about yourself, your family. And then you're going to have an excerpt from my old boss, the interview process. I've not found a better example, a very simple example of how to do the interview process, go through this interview process, than my former boss when I was at the South Carolina State Archives back in late 70s, early 80s. And I'm still connected with my boss, my Alexia Helsley. I gave her my full packet of this, and she's like, oh my God, I've got to use this with my class. This is great. But like I say, this is a pared down part of the full workbook. And anyway, if you've seen Henry Louis Gates, you know, the program on genealogy, and you've seen in the archives and all of these very old materials and such, I've been in spaces like that. And it is such an amazing experience to hold something in your hand. Like I've held the oldest document in South Carolina in my hands. I've you know, when you're looking at hundreds of years of old information, you start to also realize that there's a paper trail. And so in that paper trail, I want people to understand, please do understand, I do not ever want to hear anything that just drives me crazy, that where we are Black people or anybody who's Black people and we can't find ourselves. No, ever, ever, do not ever say that. It riles me to the core. That is from the understanding that somebody telling you that has never done their research. They've never done their work, and they're only taking the fable of what somebody else wants you to know. So these last 3 pages are the links to things, and that's why it works electronically. But if you need to use that by just trying to search or just type out, or copy out the URL onto into a browser, then you can see where that it goes to .com, what have you, to the org in each one of these. I'm only going to go through and explain about 3 or 4 of them and introduce you to them. But these resource institutions, these are amazing links to the history of people keep paperwork. Governments file paperwork in archives. Local governments, county governments, state governments, federal governments, and also individuals create archives and place them in institutions. Documents and paper come from families who say, oh, okay, we want to file these over here. We want to put these in. Every university in every state, in every place that you can possibly think of, has a holding of history, local folks who've placed their information there so that others can find them. And these are just an example of the national links of places where people can find things. So so I'm going to go and let's start with page 3. And I want to take notes. I'm going to, after I finish with this particular page, I'm just going to ask, for just a couple of questions, if you have any questions, just about what I've covered. We're going to have about 30 minutes, before the end of the session for Q&A. And I think it's that, Angel has it where you can write in any questions and such or in preparation for that particular time, so that, I can just go through a series of questions and answering questions that you've submitted. But I have what you have in terms of collect materials. Everybody's house has got a lot of stuff. I have gone through my grandmother's house, and after she passed and such, and people are going, why are you digging through that old house? We just got to throw all of that stuff away. Well, I found in that house a slave pass for 1837. Slave pass, 1837. I showed it to folks and such, and it became such a, well, let me tell you, this was the first experience I've had where a whole pile of family went, this is mine, 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 mine. Why'd you go in that house? Oh, I thought you were going to throw things away. I just wanted to see what was in there. And people throw amazing history of a life out in the garbage can, not understanding that when a person passes, or when you are still there and people are living in these packed houses with stuff, that anything could be in that house. Anything could be in that place, in that space. And everything that you think is garbage is a representation of the history of not only that individual, but also the history of a family. And that family can date back to a long, long time. But do understand that whenever you're going through searching for family, the majority of people in this country, including Blacks, Asians, every person, majority of people entered into this country from after 1870. So 1870 to 1930, this country's population more than doubled. That is every ethnic group. And so what you make, do not make the assumption that because you are of a certain ethnicity, and I use the word ethnicity because there is no such thing as race. Race is a contrivance. It is a political and economic creation that, and I could go through the history of that as well, going back through, certain biblical concepts and things. But the idea of race was first implemented in such a way that it started putting people into categories based on the politics of a thing. And just because you have a certain ethnicity doesn't mean that you are in the accepted group. In this country, there was a point in time where, white people were only those of English descent. Irish were not in the white category until 1920s, along with Italians were not in the white category until 1920s. Germans, anyone of German descent, they used to be in 1850s and such, a lot of them were lynched and they were hanged and all of this stuff and discriminated against Germans. And so, and you had where you had predominantly Chinese were, they went through horrendous, slaughter and discrimination and such. In 1850s, there was this massacre in California. And then you have the indigenous population, whereby you had the millions of indigenous population stemming from the now named territory that is called the Americas. That's from Canada to Argentina, West Indies and Caribbean. That is all the Americas. The entire millions of population of indigenous peoples and their nations and their empires, and 90% of them were massacred and lost their lives from disease within 400 years. 400 years, just think about that. 90% of millions of people were eliminated and destroyed within 400 years. So when you're thinking about this country and the outsider's name of America, you think about, and I always start from the indigenous people whose footprint, whose lives I lay my feet upon. I know the indigenous population from my home, where I call my home of St. Helena Island. Chicora, they are the people who were there first. I name them always in everything I do. From Chicora, you have within that area also, you've heard of Yamasee. A lot of people don't seem to understand that within the Beaufort district area in Jasper County, there is still to this day, there's a Cherokee res. In South Carolina, there are reservations throughout the South, throughout this country. And those who are registered in their reservations, they are not considered citizens of that state. They are a federal negotiation. They have, anyway, they're, so I have an appreciation for that very tough line that the indigenous population to this day still hold and trying to keep themselves known and alive. And I say that because we should not assume a thing in terms of the history that we have. And that's why I say, when I walk into a person's home, the first items in the upper part where you see art and environment and folkways, I look through person's home, and how you glance within moments, I am looking for the things that somebody has on their wall. Even if you have the whole, velvet, what is it? The two Kennedys and a king, velvet art. And yeah, a lot of people know what I'm talking about. On the wall, that identifies for me a period of time and a consciousness. Because that only that velvet, they only existed within a certain period of time, especially if they have the black border, wood border on. And you look for other art, you look for other items. Everything that a person has within their space says something about not only the person, but also the history of the person putting a thing in their environment. And that's where you look at the environment as well. And it's not just within the house, within the living space. You're looking also outside of that living space. Inside of the house I grew up in, and you saw a picture of that in my logo. Inside that house, I have pictures of the inside of the house. It's amazing the kinds of the pictures. I can look at each item and it tells that, because it's something that the pictures taken in the 1970s and such, and I can deconstruct the environment, and it identifies the living space itself. The shotgun house, it rooms in a row, that's a shotgun. And a dog trot is when you have rooms in a row and a hallway in the middle. And so, the things are named. But outside of the environment is the land we own since Reconstruction. And the land we own, and I realized within like the last 20 years that, I grew up thinking that all Black people own land. No, people who are in the former Beaufort district still own land, especially then on St. Helena Island, where Reconstruction was created and then implemented first, still own land. I still own the land that my great-great-great-grandparents bought during that particular period of time. It is the former plantation that they were enslaved on. And so my environment extends to the surrounding area, my grandmother's house, my uncle's house. We had what is a compound. Think in terms of, is you have a compound, it is about the family cluster of homes. And it is now a legal language used in Beaufort County as part of the cultural overlay. Compound, when a family has a cluster of homes within, around in their environment, and their land is around, you're living in a compound. That is that environment. And then extend the environment into the neighborhood. What is the neighborhood? Where do you live? What is it? Is it in the country? It is in a suburb? Is it in a city? I hate to say things like rural and, urban, because those two words have become politicized in such a way that there is lack of truth. And in Atlanta, where I am, there are more white people who are urban than there are Black people, and Black people live in the suburbs. So all of those sorts of things don't mean anything. And I grew up in the rural. So what does that mean? That means I'm white? No. No. So, be careful about how you use a word in describing a place in a space. Then you have, folkways and foods. A lot of folkways are identified by the foods you eat. There's an extension of the food that you grew up with. Give me anything out of that ocean and I'll tell you, I'll cook it up in a heartbeat. And do not put any kind of milk in my grits. No, I did not grow up with putting milk in no grits. And I will cook up. So I am a cook. I cook. I'm from St. Helena Island. I'm Gullah Geechee. I cook. Put it in front of me. I'm gonna cook it up. Anyway, the thing that from there is that, think about your home. See, you are telling everything I go through. You are telling your story. Start writing notes. Start writing these things down. What do I remember in my own childhood, in my own life? You are the holder of who your people happen to be, your heritage, and you can start from here and go backwards, because all those things that your grandmama and your grandpa, all those stories that they said, okay, well, your grandmama gonna tell you, you know how they like to tell that lie. They tell that lie. Lie means storytelling. Lie is a word for storytelling. So let's listen to them and tell that lie, because they're going to sit down and tell that lie. And within what they're telling is the facts. Remember what it is that they may have said, because they're also giving you facts. So you overlay the storytelling into history, the history of, I remember them saying something about, yeah, they're saying something about that because the tradition about information and such has passed from one generation to the next, because they're also identifying events. And those events are things that you are also looking at in terms of, okay, I got to go back through my history. I got to go back through resources and such and see if this makes sense. And we know, and I've already spoken about language, my ability to code switch, language is also based on, where are you from? Where are you from the South or the North, the Northeast, the central states and such? How long has your family been there? What is the language that is part of that environment, that space? Because there's no telling, no matter your ethnicity, you have a link to the origin space, the heritage of the language that followed your family. And that also works with literature, because that is part of the storytelling. That is part of the old books. Oh my goodness, let me tell you about the old books, the 1800s books. So I'm saying, what are they doing with these old books in here? Oh, those are the things they read. People were readers back in the 1800s and the 1900s and such. This is, no, wait a minute, Black people weren't readers. Oh yeah, that is the way that you learn. As soon as 1865 happened and Reconstruction happened, there were more Black people, more people in general who started learning, because in the South became so diverse. Black and white children went to school together. It was the first time there were public schools in the South. Reconstruction created a diversity. Women could own property. White men had to then also pay for their outside babies. And white women could finally get divorced. And public administration was created, and there were more Black people who were office holders from the local administration all the way up to the state to Congress in the 1800s than there were in the 1900s. Y'all hear me, right? More Black people, more diversity during the years of Reconstruction. That all, let me go into the history of Reconstruction, because y'all going to need another session with me. So, the same, as you see, music and dance does the same thing here. Music and dance, a lot of, the same thing. You're following along. What is the pattern? What is the habit? What is it that people do still that is an extension of the past, of what I've been taught, what I've been told, that this is part of my life? Write those things down. Do what I call a memory journal. Start just writing notes. Don't care about how you write or something. Just write the notes. Get something, write notes. I remember this. Oh, okay, yeah, let me write that down. I remember such and such. Write that down. And so when you see religion and spirituality, I'm going to tell you what, okay, religion for me is the creation of an institution, of a collection of people to help and support an understanding of an unknown. Okay, that's religion for me. Religion is the creation of an institution to create for groups of people being able to explain the unknown. And let me not go into history of religion, because I can go back several centuries on that one too, all kinds of religions. But spirituality is another consciousness in terms of, those things where, let me put it this way, let me say, I grew up in Brick Baptist Church, say Helena Island, Brick Baptist Church. But my spirit had an understanding, still to this day has an understanding about the intangible sense of being able to walk with the old people. When I say the old people, I mean those people on the other side. Those people who are on the other side, meaning that when you look at, and you can look up the Bokongo symbol is an extension of, and is an extension of my, the Angolans, who are part of the first layer of Africans, West Africans, who are on the islands, and Angolans who are also part, some elements of the Congo Empire. And then it became the Rice Coast, because Angolans, I think in 1730s, Angolans were the first to then be, see, I can go into history, used as the labor force until, what was the thing? South Carolina law said, we don't want any more Angolans because we can't control them. All right, so there was a ban in 1730s on Angolans. And so it was like, okay, let's get these rice people, because, every time we try to grow rice, we can't grow rice. So Rice Coast Africans, Southern Senegambia to Northern Liberia, all those ethnic growers were growing indigenous rice that was from there, not from Asia. Rice that we know as, what is it, Carolina Gold, all of these, that is indigenous. The cotton is indigenous, and the indigo is indigenous from West Africa. Those are the major products that made the wealth of the plantations. The wealth of the plantations started from rice, and the economic growth of what would become this country, the United States, was built on rice and cotton. That is the economic growth and success of what would then become this country. And please never say anything about there were no plantations all everywhere in the 13 colonies. There were plantations all the way up to Maine. There was slavery of people all the way up to Maine. And just a quick note on this consciousness of, in terms of what would become the institution of slavery. The first enslaved person, enslaved for life, did not happen until 1649. 1649. 1619 was the first transaction of humans as commodity on this continent. There were already Africans there. There were already Africans throughout the colonies, all the way into early 1500s. If I don't claim Africans into the early 1500s, I will be discounting my own history. The first revolt that involved Africans on what would become this country happened in current day Beaufort County in 1526. There were Africans still already in the place where the transaction in humans took place in what is now Hampton, Virginia. There were already Africans there. There were hundreds of Africans already in Virginia colony. They were indentured. Africans were indentured and working side by side by all those other indentured Europeans, all such, because they were not English. So the first court case, 1649, look it up. I'm going to see, I'm talking about like a professor. Oh my God. There's a Scottish, a Dutch and an African got angry with who they were working for, and they acted out, ended up in court. It turned into an extension of servitude for the Scot and also the Dutch, and slavery for life for the African. That was the first identifier, 1649. It took for another 50, 60 years before the institution that we know of now even was implemented into like 1730 and such, was the time where it was finalized in terms of what it is we know now. And it all is based on the condition of the mother. The condition of the mother. If the mother is enslaved, then the child is enslaved. If the mother is free, then the child is free. There's a condition of the mother. So, and I mentioned that, and all of this is still overlaid because you still have indigenous population, Africans, Europeans, intermarrying and all this stuff until all the laws and such started separating out and creating segregation. So why I'm mentioning all of this is because spirituality harbors so much. Everything that you see here is harbored within the transition and the combination of people. And it all overlays. And where was that person? Was this person even on this continent? Was this person's history even part of this continent? And so there's a lot to think through in terms of the story of who you may be and your heritage. And for me, my identifier goes back into, and I guess I did my DNA, and my identifier goes back into Angolans. I am identifier back into the early 1700s in terms of Angolans. So I'm Angolan, I am Sierra Leonean, I am, Teutonic, yeah, German. I'm I'm a little bit of a Sardinia, Italian, and also East Asian. Yeah. So I'm not going to be mad at anybody. Okay. And so the spirituality that I identify with is that link that I said. Bakongo symbol is Angolan. It identifies dusk. Dawn to dusk. You see, it is a symbol like this. And it goes into identifying what I call the old people. And growing up on St. Helena, I sense the intangible, and I accept that intangible. The tangible is that institutional religion. The intangible is the spirituality. And so, yeah, I'm Quaker. Yep, there's the other part. Yes, I know myself. I am Quaker. Becoming that because it answers to that spiritual sense. So that's where we have those sorts of things. Start writing these pieces and parts down. Because, you have this, you see all of these other things, this other items. These items are in your house. These items are in your grandmama's house, in your grandpapa's house, and in your family. And yeah, look, I have the photo album. If you have a photo album with already sealed pages, don't take the pages out. Scan the entire page. Take a scan, make copies, write on those. Anytime you see any of these materials, anything, make a scan, make copies, put away the original, and then you make notes on a copy of that. Because what you're going to do with this, you are going to be using a lot of paper because you're going to be writing notes. So get yourself a 3-ring binder, get yourself file folders, start with a collection of stuff, and then start compiling information as possible. All of these things, even if it becomes a family project. Find those people in the family who's not going to go, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. Okay, Lily. Okay. So now I just say, it's all mine now because I've got boxes of all of the family stuff, including the family Bible. Okay. So anyway, letters, yes, I have them. Journals, yes, I have them. Old records, interviews, I have decades worth. Found materials, yes, I have them. Find them. Everything you put your hand on, do not throw it away until you know exactly what it is. Now, what you do with letters and journals, know and understand and accept that the individual who wrote those letters and wrote those journals, they were people. You know, my mother's journal, I'm going, okay, girl, well, let me see. Okay, you are an individual. All right, you are an individual. Call that person by that person's name. Not mama, grandmama, all that sort of auntie, uncle, whatever, called by the name because they lived a life as well. So, you know, I don't know. I can, let me see. Let me continue going on. And then I'll ask a question here. Because, you know, like I said, you know, we went through that category of stuff, but see, in preparing for the interview, we have something where I was originally, you know, taught, you know, back in the 80s, I was taught ethnography from a Eurocentric perspective. Everything is from a Eurocentric perspective until you kind of go, no, 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 no. We have the rest of history and we're going to tell the rest of history as well. And so I, you know, sitting with the elders and such, and I go, wait a minute, I'm not going to come up with these questions and then say, okay, this is what I'm supposed to ask, and I'm supposed to ask this next one. No, no, no. I want to hear their story. So I started coming up with, and you can see, you can read the background on this information and such. And I said, all right, I want to know the categories that they live their lives. And so in terms of the categories, I created categories that would make sense. And so, you know, when you sit with somebody, you know that you have these different categories that you want to know information from, and how the person that you're interviewing guides the story. You know, they are, like I said, you heard me guide, they guide how they want their story told. You ask questions based on, you know, whatever you're doing an interview, you've got your own notebook going. I have got notebooks like crazy. I'm like, okay, I'm writing. Okay. And I'm writing and writing and writing. And I know, and I'm glancing down and I'm going, okay, all right, we've gone through, okay. Okay, that person jumped all the way to religion. Okay, I was born in this church and such, but you know, we used to go back on that woods and we used to, you know, go and find, and I have stories. And then, okay, I got to go back up to such and such. Okay, what was your childhood? Okay, did you play games and such? What kind of games did you play? Oh, well, let me tell you about, you know, and you find out all kinds of things. They'll go clap stuff, you know. And then personal history is about that person and what that person experienced at different times. And you take the cue from what they're saying. You write the note. You know, when you get to home environment, this is when I've gone through, say, can you describe that house? I would have my little notebook and I'll go, well, you know, you had a room like, okay, no, the room was, we had 4 rooms. Okay, how was that? Was it back to all 4 rooms in a line? No, no, you know, let me see your paper. No, I'm going through what people have told me. Let me see your paper. Okay, no. Then that room came from there and we had this big double fireplace in the middle of that room in this. And so, yeah, find out every piece of information. And when you're interviewing someone and they're talking, you shut up. You only want that person's voice. I use recording. I do not use video. Because when somebody, although me, producer, all right, television, documentaries, people have asked me, why aren't you doing videotape? One, I have been in particular houses where if I brought in a video camera and the lighting that video required to make it quality, I'd be blowing every circuit in one of some of these old houses I've been in. I am not burning down somebody's house. Now, a recorder and a camera. That's it. I have got hundreds of pictures in terms of still photos. there was a point in time where when I started getting into digital, I would just snap around with digital camera, but I was always a photographer using film, black and white film. The pictures on my website, you'll see with the Kusahatchee elders, all film, a couple of, well, anyway, and I would get them used to the film, you get them used to the camera, be taking pictures and such. Then I would pull out film and I would look for what you call the signature picture. And so they get used to the thing. Oh, there's a recorder. Always say, oh, there's a recorder. Okay, always say, I'm here, Althea Sumpter with such and such, and we are in, name the place and the date. And then you have they let them tell their story. So you see these categories of information. You can go through and understand these categories of information. And then take the notes from what my former boss, how my former boss, described what to do. Because this is what I do. It works. Do not go more than 2 hours. You'll exhaust yourself and also the person. And avoid any yes, no answers. Did you go to school? Yes. Okay. You tell me about the school you went to when you were a child. Oh, okay. Well, we went to, that's it. Storytelling, they're off on a journey. It's incredible. Wear comfortable clothes. Be very comfortable. And you'll see the pictures that I have on my website that they're comfortable. They allowed me the kindness of being elders within their own home. And so I'm going to I'm going to go through and I'm going to see if you have a couple of questions. And before I go into the next thing, I don't know, April, Angel, I don't know if you want me to answer a couple of questions just about what we've gone through, because I'm going to have more time on the, but Angel, if you want me to continue on, I can do that as well.
I do want to, if there are any questions, anybody has any burning questions that you'd like to ask thus far, we do want to make some room for it. But if not, we will move right along. Okay, I see one hand. Is that Miss June?
Yes, yes. You PR is Pamela Renee. So, but so many Pamelas. So, but thank you once again. Let me, I don't want to take too much time. Thank you once again for the both of you to invite me to your, to the geology. Professor Athena also, thank you. Just brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, because I've been waiting for this opportunity. I just kept praying. I just kept believing. I even kept putting in the atmosphere. I'm like, there's going to be a day, somebody I'm going to be getting with, so I can know my genealogy or genealogy. I know I'm not saying it correctly, but to find out what my family history, besides just knowing that we are Africans. I don't even like saying Black anymore. I just say Africans because that's who we are, right? And we have lost who we really are, our identity. So, and our culture, that has been pressing on me. So my family we're getting together on our next family reunion just to kind of speed things up, so you'll know what I'm asking. But we are, seeking, researching. Me, myself, person, I lived in Georgia for some years, right? I still go there. My church is there, even though I'm in South Carolina currently. But now, and I was one of those ignorant people that always said I couldn't find anything. Yes, I'm in Georgia. I'm here in South Carolina, still in the archives. Could not find anything for my relatives. Couldn't. Okay. And not just on my dad's side, mom's side too. Right. So anyway, make long story short, this is my question. Now, like you just said, you also work with finding your roots. So you work with him. So what is okay.
No,
Well anyway,
I love the TV show.
okay. Well,
I've been in those archives.
okay.
Okay.
I want to know, how can I be or get the information how to connect with him, because he does still come on PBS, right?
Okay. Well, see here, let me tell you, you don't have to connect with him. I'm going to show you the next stage how you can do the stuff yourself. That's fine.
That's what I want.
You don't
Yes,
need
ma'am.
him. You don't need him. You only have to then see what he's done for other people. Okay, that's where we go. I have all this stuff. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is my next phase is going to be, see, I'm going to go back to this archive, this grid. I'm going to go through these certain tabs I've set up. And starting with, oops. Oh, wait. See, I have it all lined up. I'm going to start with LDS. Church of Latter-day Saints. They are, all of their information happens to be free. Go into the book, click on LDS, it takes you here. Or you can just, just go find LDS, genealogy. And this gives you a lot of resources, free resources, for being able to understand genealogy, understand how to make things, and to learning genealogy. In learning genealogy, you have a lot of links to how to find the things, articles on how to find ancestry, how to locate probate records, how to, church records and genealogy. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Do you see? I'm still scrolling, okay? Using Civil War records. That's just one link. That's just, family history stories. You see, LDS, Church of Latter-day Saints, they created this because it's based on their faith about being able to learn and understand the genealogy of those who are connected through their faith. And so anything that is LDS is a lot of it is about genealogy, Church of Latter-day Saints, Mormons. And then I'm going to go to the next item and show you what is also available. Anyway, so you have these things, locating, doing the genealogy. All right. And over here, just explore. Never, you say, okay, you're an educator, explore possible documents from my, name of ancestor parents, all of this. Become your own student. I'm giving you information that people pay for me to do this and tell them how to do it. Okay. Thank you, Gullah Geechee Corridor. So we have this website. And now we're going to go through, and you also have the link for Family Tree. It's free. You log in and it is free information. Go to, and so this is, and you have all of this up here. Explore by place. Look at these places. Explore by topic. Explore through websites. What is it? 75 best state websites. What is it? 101 best genealogy websites. Hello, excuse me. Yes, this stuff is free. DNA and heritage. But see, what I want to get to, see, how to preserve heirlooms, recipes and cookbooks, all of this stuff. And, when you become sign in and you become a member of this for free, you get regular news, like daily, you get something. Oh, am I interested in that? You don't have to click on everything, but it's like, oh, look what we're giving to you today. Oh, look what we're giving free today. But I want to go through free resources. Free resource. Did I say free? Free resources. Free references. Free. Okay, research forums and organize. This is what I want to give to you, show to you. Because in here, this is where you can start compiling information for your for relatives and so I have another document. I'm going to show you a tighter shot of these. So you have blanks. See, you have not just this page, research, planning, and organization, but you also have census worksheets. Oh, wait a minute, they're free. Download, use census checklists. Okay, I'm going to show you what it looks like. You know, you click on that, you download, get it for free. Yep, they'll send it to you by your email. Yeah, free. Do I keep saying free? Record your family history forms. I'm going to show you what they look like. How to make a protective book book box. Yeah, because you're going to have paper. It's going to be a lot of paper, right? It's just going to be paper. And so a lot of this paper looks like, and I'm going to show you that they look like, okay. For example, one of the forms I have that I use is, okay, census information. Oh, let me make it larger, just a little larger here. All right. Now, all of these are blanks, starting from 1790, the first census, 1790. And remember, census is about how many representatives you're going to have within 700, every 750 people, 750,000 people will have a representative. So, I mean, remember, this is about how many the representation in Congress. Every state, 2 senators. Can you imagine Rhode Island, 2 senators, California, 2 senators, really? And so the number of representatives is based on the population, and then you form a new district. The only census that doesn't exist is 1890. But you have what they ask in questionnaire and such like that. What happened is that, oh, they all burned down. And that's when all of a sudden I went, I think we need to keep a little, keep this more information a lot better than we have. Now, but the thing that is very fascinating is that you start to see what people were called, what they change. That's why I say it's all based on, you know, it doesn't mean anything. Quadroon and Octoroon and Mulatto, they were different races. Japanese and Indian, white, black. Okay. You have birthplace. So we're going to send the link. Angel, I'm going to make sure you get these links so that you can actually go to these things. This, you know, you have, what do you have? 1860. Here's the form, the questionnaire for 1860, where you only had white, black, mulatto. Was the person married when and such? And you know that we have the 1980. Oh, okay. Here's the questionnaire for census for, you can see the difference. All of this stuff. When was this person born? And the thing is in terms of where was a person born? And as we start asking about active duty service, career, you know. So you can go through so much of this, but the next item that I'm going to send a link to happens to be the blanks of the census forms, blanks. And let me pick one. Here's the blank. You know, you go through, find your information, find your relative, write the name in here. This is what they, you know, you use these. Make a copy. Free white persons. Free, weren't all white people free? Free colored persons. Yeah, look at that. Yeah. There are, I'm gonna say, there are about 60,000 free colored people in South Carolina. 60,000. Another 60,000 in Virginia. See what I'm talking in numbers? We're talking about thousands of free people. You have number of persons and stuff, the employment. Oh, then you have slaves. Okay. So so you find, you go and copy out a thing, you copy something, you copy it off, make a print it out. That's what I say. Doing this work is going to be use a lot of paper. And you go ahead and make your own copy, write down the information. So this is just, you know, one of the tools of what you can find. So, you know, where I showed you under family tree, under resources and such, and it gives you all of these census worksheets and all of that. This is the link to another direction in getting the information, so to get all the blanks as well. But I have another trick, another thing. Okay, everybody's following me, right? And this, oops, wait. Oh, okay. Now I have a couple other articles. There we go. All right. This is off a family tree. And I see you, Marjorie. This is an article. This is 10 essential. And so in here, copy these things off. 5-generation ancestry sheet. Print them off. You know, whenever you see these finalized family tree things that, you know, look so nice and gorgeous, that's after years of people doing the work. They have scrap paper all over the place. I had to tell people, find a wall that you're gonna say, make it is your, you know, you have these walls where you see in these police procedurals where they tape things all over the wall. Okay, do that. Find a wall. Okay. Start taping things all on the wall. Put a sheet up, put a name up. You know, people say, what are you doing with that wall? You messing up your wall. No. I'm creating family. Forget it. Okay. So, you know, talk to me, whatever. Y'all gonna make me code switch on that, the way I talk about family, telling me what I can and cannot do to my house. So anyway, here's this one form, and make copies, start all over. Family group sheet. Okay. About, look, husband, wife. Okay. People in the household, whatever. Ancestor worksheet. You see, even down to social security number. What was their nickname? You know, they're basket names, right? Now, I grew up where those nicknames are called basket names. You know, what we call it in our house. Different spellings of their names. Ancestor worksheet, where you have, you know, another form of keeping up information. And then you go through a checklist. Do I have this? Did I have that? Did I have the other thing? But their business. The cemetery. You can find out a lot about the cemetery in terms of, you know, where is their grave? Find a grave. Yeah, I've found graves for a whole pile of people. And because people just go around and volunteer and take single pictures of cemeteries and upload them to a resource. I've found graves of people who was the great grand aunt of whatever, and there is their grave up in the woods. I'm like, oh my God. And then relationship chart, you know, how did you call that person again? What was there removed from somebody? You know, first cousin, who knows? Look, first cousin twice removed. How did that happen? Excuse me. So you know how to call a person. They were like, which one was there? They were removed from someplace. So the child of my first cousin is a remove. And so the child, my first cousin's child, the child of that child, that's when you get in the second generation, and then that child is the second remove. Okay, I'm just saying. So this is the worksheets and such, and this is off a family tree. And you see how much stuff there happens to be? And then you can make a list of, I found the person's name in all of these, make a list. So you have, you know, this is information. And there's another worksheet thing. Oh dear. Another worksheet is, and it is repeats something, but this one gives a step family tree. Oh yeah, that's right. There's a step family people. And then there's adoptive family. All of this is off of family tree, off family tree resources. And then you have some repeated information. But this is the sort of thing that I want to make sure that, you know, you get. So you have the blank sheets, you have the resource list, the family that, and then I want to show you a free, yes, free website. The difference between family tree and ancestry is, you know, family search and ancestry is, family search is free. The only thing you may find a few additional, I'm going into my account, a few additional items in ancestry, because ancestry is, it does now has a you know, I couldn't keep the thing open because it'll, you know, time out. And so the you hear me going at so the thing that you're dealing with in terms of ancestry is that it is a huge business, and it does the DNA, it makes money through that as well, and it's able to continue digitizing materials. And so I wanted to go into and show you family tree to familysearch.org and set up your account. And I want to show you. All right. I was missing it one particular password. Now, all right. Now, I'm in family search. This is family search. And you know, I do not keep a grid, a family tree. You know, I'll show you what you can do. I think I have something just as a demonstration and what you can actually create something. And you can create a grid. You've seen how you can do this. The reason I do not keep my own, keep this is you can change out the profile, all of these different types of profiles and such. But I copy off all of my documents. And then I go and I make my own thing on my wall and keep my own notes. But doing a general search, you can search these records. I'm going to just go through general records, and it'll take you to a thing. See, I was going to ask Angel earlier if I could use her name, her family name, but you know, that's okay. Let me just use a relative of mine. Use my granddaddy's name. And see, you can go up, see, and she'll ask you which one. St. Helena Island. Okay, fine. Oh, South Carolina, Beaufort. All right, let me see. Oh, 1885. Yeah. I think I remember. And now look, you're going to get for your relatives all of this information. Like, oh my gosh, wait, look at that. Social program correspondent. Wait a minute, what was he doing? Social program. Anytime you see a blue, a hen, oh, I don't know, Phineas. Nope. Anytime, hen, now Bluffton, you see something, you check the name and the reference. Ooh, now this is new. You never know what new thing is going to show up. Frogmore, look at that. Name and forms. All right. Social Security, Black, Harry, Rosetta. That's my grandmama. No, wait. No, this is my uncle. Mother's name, Rosetta. Anytime you see, oh, Johnny. Okay, that's my uncle. That's my, you see a blue, you click on it. I'm going to go and see what my grandmama is all about. And you find information. Okay, I'm going to warn you right now. People, understand. You start on this stuff. Do not blame me when it is 3 o'clock in the morning and you're still looking for people and such. Do not blame me when it is that you say, oh my God, when the last time I ate? I ate this morning. All right, I'm just telling you now. This is going to happen. Let's go to, did y'all hear me? Please make sure you understand. Do not blame me when all of a sudden you have gone who knows where. Okay. So with all of this information, I thank the people who have gone through and a lot of volunteers to index this information. They typed out each of the stuff. They went through each of the original document and just went through and compiled all of this information. You know, and in fact, Isaac Sumpter, no, that's not how you spell his name. And the information is only as good as the census taker who went door to door and knew how to spell whatever it is that person said their name is. And so George Sumpter, who? Wow, Rachel, I don't know. But see, you have to go through and figure out, is this accurate? Is this my relative? And you can only go through and see if it's accurate. But here is what you'll find in the original. When you click on the image and you click on that image and you will see the original document. You can scroll and find whatever it is. And see, the thing is that you've already gone through and copied up all of the thing in terms of, oh, 1930. Let me go to the blank form and see what they actually say up here. Let me use that as a guide and see if I can find these Sumpter people. Oh, there's Rachel Sumpter. Rachel, but I'm looking for, you see how, you know, somebody went through, they erased something, they got some spelling wrong. And Janie, I don't know, there's got to be another Sumpter somewhere in here. Okay, maybe it is. Okay, they said, oh, Harry the brother. Okay, so Harry is the brother, son, Rachel, wife of George. And then it has color, Negro. All right, you see, you go through this information, marital, okay. Let's see, let me see what more they say. South Carolina. That's the code. Ooh, occupation. Does they say servant? And then they say, you know, longshoreman, industry, riverfront, private family, the servant of a private family. You see, you know, what you're getting, information, employed, yes. And in some of the others, they'll ask language spoken in the home before coming to the United States. This is 1930s. Remember I said that majority of the US population came in after 1870. between 1870 and 1930. Majority of every person, no matter what ethnicity you are, entered into that country during that period of time. It was only in the 1920s that you even had where Italians were even considered white or even Irish. It wasn't until 1924 when they were even counting indigenous population. You see, you have citizenship, year of immigration, and they will have the country of origin. This is 1930s. You see how far, you know? And so, you know, here you have the actual document. And that's how you're going to go through and explore. And it's going to take a while. But see, I'm going to leave you at this point, and we're going to have some Q&A, all right? Because, you know, anyway. And I hope that this is, remember, this is just getting you started.